Eruption, along with a few more of my favorite Van Halen tunes, are the inspiration for this tune, Hot Lava. So, let's dive in. As far as technique goes, the main new technique that we're going to explore here is two-handed tapping, which Eddie popularized. It's a variation on our standard hammer-on pull-off, but the twist involves using the right hand as well. Start by hammering on the 12th fret, 2nd string, but not with your left hand. Try doing it with the index finger of your right hand. And by the way, I'm going to teach most of this lesson using a clean sound first so that you can really hear what's going on. I encourage you to practice it the same way, and then we'll add distortion to make it sound really cool. So anyway, back to this right hand. Use your index finger to hammer on at the 12th fret of the 2nd string. And then pull off to the open string. Now try it with your middle finger. Use whichever one feels the most comfortable. For me, it's usually the middle finger. This also has the advantage of if you use your middle finger, you can keep the pick held with your index finger like this. And you'll see that when we get to the tune here. So for me, it's more comfortable to use the middle finger. Now, I have long nails on my right hand because I play a lot of classical guitar. So I can't actually get my finger right on the tip because the nail gets in the way. So it makes this two-handed tapping technique a bit more difficult for me. But if you don't have nails, you should be able to get on the tip of your finger a little more than I can. So again, hammer on, pull off. Now let's try adding one left-hand finger. So we're going to hammer on the 12th fret, pull off to the open string, and then hammer on to the 5th fret with the left hand first finger. So that looks like this. All right, now try that with two left hand fingers. So we'll hammer on with first finger at the 5th fret, 7th fret with that 3rd finger. So that's going to sound like this. And then you just take that basic pattern, loop it, and speed it up. You can try that on different strings. And that's basically the technique. Let's talk about our harmony and accompaniment now. Our harmony is very simple. We're just using 4 power chords in this tune. We're using an E5 played like this. So I'm playing the low E string, and then I'm strumming through, and I'm playing the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings with this shape here. I've got my first finger on the E on the 4th string, 3rd finger on the B on the 3rd string, pinky on the 2nd string E. And I'm strumming through, but I don't want this open A to ring. So I've actually got the first finger of my left hand muting that string. Okay? Then a C sharp power chord at the 4th fret. Move that 2 frets down to B, and then the A. And again, a power chord, remember, it only has the root and then the 5th doubled by the octave on top. And that's why we see these notated in the score as E5, C sharp 5, etc. So, for this first one, and then I just slide my pinky down and back up. And then I arpeggiate the C sharp and B chords using palm muting to get a more focused sound. Remember when you do this palm mute, if I'm too far away from the bridge, I get that really unfocused sound. So I need to be, again, this flat part of the palm of my hand, I've got that right on top of the saddle. Okay? So that whole little pattern sounds like this. And we repeat that 4 times. So let's try that together slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this palm muting really makes a difference when we have some distortion. I'm going to turn on the distortion here so that you can hear. So when you're playing with distortion, it's easy to... things kind of can get a little out of control if you're not careful with what you're playing. So let me show you. I'm going to play through this again. Feel free to join me. Do it a little faster. But you'll really hear how this palm muting brings the definition of the chords out when I'm using distortion. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Now, turn this off so we can hear it clearly. Now, for this A5 chord, I'm just going to strike the chord and then continue eighth notes in the bass on the A string with a palm mute. So it's... okay? And then in measure 10, I'm going to strike the chord and hammer on the 3rd finger at the 4th fret. And then alternate the bass note with the 4th finger at the 5th fret, back to 3rd, lift it up, back to 3rd finger. So it sounds like this. Again. Now notice how I'm palm muting that bass note. I need that because again, if I turn on the distortion and I don't do that, this is going to get really unclear. You hear that? It's a big mess. If I add the palm muting, so that's really crucial that when I hit that bass note, I'm muting the rest of the chord so that it doesn't ring out. Okay, let's put measures 9 to 13 together now. So this is starting on this A chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. Good. A little bit faster through that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, for the last part of the accompaniment, we're going to play this ascending chord sequence. So it's an F sharp. I've got my 2nd finger on the 6th string 2nd fret. That's an F sharp. Then 3rd string 2nd fret. That's an A. And then the open E. So it's... Now I shift that up 2 frets. And now play open A, C sharp with 1st finger on the 2nd string, another open A, and then finish this off with a C sharp power chord and then slide it down to the B. Okay? So that entire little part there sounds like this. I'm going to start in the pickup to measure 13. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I finished the measure with these palm muted B5 chords. Okay, let's try measures 13 to 16 together. Again, we'll start with that 8th note pickup to measure 13. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, a little bit faster now. Same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, very good. And then in the last part of the accompaniment here, we just return to what we've had before this. We're going to play that lick 4 times through our initial riff, and then we're done. So let's try now the entire accompaniment together. I'm going to turn on some distortion here. I want you to play it with me, and we'll go all the way through it. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I just end on that E power chord. Our melody essentially is broken into 3 parts. So at the beginning, we have this movement along the 2nd string, playing different notes while at the same time playing the open E. Second part of the melody, we have some hammer-on pull-off combinations on the 1st and 2nd strings. That sort of thing. And finally, we're going to finish it off with our epic 2-handed tapping riff. So, for the first part, start with your 2nd finger on the 2nd string, 9th fret, and play that along with the open E string. And then we'll slide it down to the 7th fret, and then to the 5th fret, then 4th, back to 5th, 4th, then both strings open. So that whole lick sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? I'd like you to try that with me now, slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now, then you repeat that same lick, but at the end, we're going to add a couple of natural harmonics on the 7th fret on the 2nd and 1st string. Now, let's just review quickly how to play harmonics. To get a natural harmonic, we're going to place a left-hand finger directly above the 7th fret and lightly touch the string. Now, don't push the string down, don't depress it, just touch it. With the tip of your finger, again, right above that metal fret wire. you should get a clear ringing sound. If the sound is muffled, you might be pushing down too hard with the left hand, or if the finger's not directly over the fret wire. And if you're hearing the open string, that means you're lifting the finger too soon. Try this on all 6 strings at the 7th fret just for fun. Now, still using the 2nd finger, we're going to shift down to the 2nd fret on that 2nd string and play it along with the open E. This is moving on now to where we have the A5 chord. Then we shift that up to the 4th fret, then 5th, back down to 4th, 2nd, 4th, 5th. Okay, so all together it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 and 3, 4. 2 and 3, 4. And. Now notice how all of these attacks are on the offbeat. That is, on the and of beats 2 and 4, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and. All right? So try that with me slowly now. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, 4, and 2, and 2, and 2. Now, I'm going to turn on some distortion so you'll hear how these moving notes on the 2nd string can create this nice crunch with the notes on the 1st string. Right? And if I add a little vibrato with my left-hand finger, all right, I get a very cool sound there. So let's try playing the entire opening section of the melody together slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now let's try it again a little bit faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. Two, 3, 4. All right, very cool. For the next part, we're going to use hammer-ons and pull-offs up and down the 1st string. So the first we're going to do in an ascending pattern. I'm going to call out the fret numbers here. So it's 4, 5, 4 open with 1st and 2nd fingers. Then 5, 7, 5 open with 1st and 3rd fingers. 7, 9, 7 open with 1st and 3rd. 9, 11, 9 open, again with 1st and 3rd fingers. Moving to 11, 12, 11 open. And then 12, 14, 12 open. So let's try just that much. Let me play it for you. Okay, now I'm going to move back down the string. 11, 12, 11 open. 9, 11, 9 open. Okay, now try that whole pattern with me. We're going to switch to the second string in a minute. But this is starting here at the 4th fret. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we come down the second string with a series of pull-offs. And I'm picking these with my right hand. So it's 12 open, 10 open, 9 open, 10 open, 9 open, 7 open, 9 open, 7 open, 5 open, and then 4 hammering on to 5, and finish with your pinky on the first string, 7th fret. Okay, so that part here, starting in measure 15, is just, this is the second string pull-offs. Okay, so this whole lick pattern now, this is starting where the hammer-ons happen, is all right, and that's going to sound really cool with distortion. You'll see in a minute. Now, the two-handed tapping finale. Try this without distortion as well, because you want to hear the clarity. So, I was using my pick, so this is always an issue with guitarists is, okay, when you switch to something like this, what do you do with the pick? And most guitarists figure out a way to store it somewhere in their hand. I grab it with my index finger like this. So I'm holding the pick now with my index finger so that I can free up my middle finger now to do the tapping. So this is very similar to the exercise we practiced. On the first string, tap on the 12th fret with your right hand finger. Pull off to the open string. Left hand hammer on with your first finger at the 4th fret. And then with 4th finger, hammer on at the 7th fret. So all together that is. Try that with me. And we do that lick 4 times. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Now move to the second string. Tap on that 12th fret with your right hand finger. Pull off to the open string. Left hand at the 4th fret, first finger. Now second finger hammers on at the 5th fret. So that's again. And we do that 2 times. For this next 2 iterations, we do the same thing, except instead of hammering with the 2nd finger, we're going to hammer with the 4th finger at the 7th fret. So those 4 in a row are okay? And we do that entire 2-measure pattern 3 times, like this. Second time. Third time. And now, the 4th time, the first part that we play on the first string is the same. But the last measure on the second string is 12 open 4-5. Now I'm going to move my right hand down the strings. 10 open 4-5. 9 open 4-5. 7 open 4-5. And then I'm finishing with my right hand tapping on the first string 12th fret. And I hold that. So let's try the entire tapping section slowly now. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. That's pretty fun, right? Okay, now, get ready for the magic. With distortion now, here's what that section sounds like. I'm going to play a little faster. Now, if that's not fun, I don't know what I can do for you. All right, now we're going to go through the entire melody, a little on the slow side. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I hope you enjoy performing Hot Lava. Remember, if you want to improvise over this chord progression, you can use my written out solo as a springboard for your own ideas. The entire tune is based around the key of E major. Now, Eddie Van Halen once was asked if he enjoyed playing the acoustic guitar, and he said, "Not really, it's not loud enough." Listening to Van Halen is like pouring testosterone from a bottle into a shot glass. It's aggressive, distortion-inflected electric guitar played at high decibels with astonishing speed and dexterity. Rolling Stone magazine called Eddie Van Halen the single most admired, influential, revolutionary guitar slinger of his generation. Joe Basso, writing in Guitar World, said that Eddie was the first to infuse the electric guitar with genuinely new blood since Jimi Hendrix. And the critic Chuck Klosterman, writing in Billboard, said Van Halen radically modernized the trajectory of American metal by simultaneously making it less heavy, more melodic, less gothic, and more inclusive. Still, the road to fame was littered with crash test dummies. Edward Lodewijk Van Halen was born in Nijmegen, Holland on January 26, 1955. His father, Jack, was a professional musician who'd enlisted in the Dutch Air Force around the time World War II broke out and who played the clarinet in the marching band. By the way, you can hear him on Big Bad Bill from Van Halen's 1982 album Diver Down. After the war, Jack married an Indonesian woman, Jan, who gave birth to 2 boys, Alex and Ed. They emigrated to the United States in 1962 when Alex was 9 and Ed 7. On the ship over, Ed and Alex, who would eventually become a drummer, performed on piano for fellow passengers while their dad passed a hat for tips. The family never had much when the boys were growing up. In California, Ed heard the Dave Clark Five and was turned onto rock and roll. Beginning in middle school, the brothers played dances and parties, and a kid from the neighborhood, David Lee Roth, owned a PA system. So, the flashy singer with a limited vocal range became part of the band. Van Halen was a big fan of Eric Clapton and Cream from the 1960s, but he credits his pyrotechnic playing of one-handed hammer-ons to a Jimmy Page solo on Heartbreaker by Led Zeppelin. Eddie took the concept further by turning the planted finger on the guitar's neck into a modified nut that he could move around for greater range. He also developed that two-handed tapping, which transformed the frets into a stringed keyboard and contributed to his phenomenal speed. He was comfortable with large stretches across the neck, and he pulled hard on the tremolo bar, disorienting his already loud, distorted sound. In October 1976, Van Halen climbed on stage at the Starwood Club in West Hollywood, into the spotlight of rock and roll history. At the time, the Kiss bass player Gene Simmons was scouting for an unsigned band that he could manage. He arrived halfway through the evening as another group, The Boys, was playing. After their set, Simmons talked backstage about possibly taking The Boys to New York to record for a new label. But as he was speaking, Van Halen opened the final set of the night. That drowned out the conversation. Simmons returned to the VIP section, and by the third song, he says he was floored. The writer Greg Renoff, in his book Van Halen Rising, says the band was generating atomic-level energy. By 6 a.m., Simmons and Van Halen were in a West LA studio going over demos on a cassette tape. The scene was a funky place known then as the Village Recorder, originally built as a Masonic temple, and at one time the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi's Transcendental Meditation headquarters in LA. Bob Dylan recorded Forever Young there. In a few months, Steely Dan would lay down Asia at the Village Recorder, and Fleetwood Mac cut Tusk there in 1979. With Simmons offering direction, the band re-recorded some of their best Van Halen songs and then flew to New York to complete the new demos at Electric Lady Studios in Greenwich Village, built by Jimi Hendrix in 1970. Simmons was joining Kiss for rehearsals on an upcoming tour, and Simmons didn't like the Van Halen band name and pitched Daddy Longlegs as a substitute. Meanwhile, he tried to teach Eddie to dub harmony lines to some of his lead guitar licks, but this didn't go over very well. Ed liked the power trio sound better. Simmons also bought the band members leather pants and boots to make them more look like a rock band. The final step was to audition for Kiss's manager, Bill Aucoin. They'd have to perform with Kiss's equipment though, including Ace Frehley's bottom-heavy Les Paul guitar, which made Eddie uncomfortable. The rest, as they say, is history. Aucoin took a pass, and Daddy Longlegs never went anywhere. Not long after, back at the Starwood Club, the band was introduced to a nephew of the comedian Milton Berle. This was Marshall Berle, who became their manager and who talked up Van Halen around town. Warner Brothers boss Mo Austin now came to see them at the Starwood, as Gene Simmons had. And just like that, Eddie said, we finally had a record deal. All the tracks to the first album had been selected and cut when the producer Ted Templeman walked into the studio one day. He heard Eddie and Alex warming up for a show at the club Whiskey A Go-Go on Sunset Boulevard, and he asked Ed what he was playing. The guitarist said it was a solo he performed at live events. Templeman said they had to get that on tape. This was Eruption, inspiration for Hot Lava in this lesson. The writer Dan Emmerich, in a piece that appears in a collection of Guitar World articles on Van Halen, says that with Eruption, Eddie altered the very perception of what rock guitar was in 1 minute, 42 seconds flat.